That was in August. We stopped
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah, that was August.
Mhm.
And then December, I get a little ping on my phone.
Facebook.
Yeah.
I sent her a Facebook message,
Yeah.
and I sent her this article that about something that we had both were interested in, and I didn't even think about it, you all. I didn't even think about it. I just sent it to her because if I had thought about it, I would not have messaged her. But it was like, oh, let me show this to Cheryl.
Yeah.
And I messaged her, and baby, she responded immediately. Immediately, she responded.
Yeah.
And we started talking again. We started messaging and checking, how are you doing? What's going on? Are you doing good? How are the kids? And it was great. And so then she was like, I moved, and I would really love to see you.
Yeah.
Okay, but mind you, I had my guard up. I was like, no. I mean, we can hang out, we can be friends, but it's not going to be, I'm not trying to make it anything that it's not going to be, right?
Right.
So she's like, come over. I brought a bottle of champagne because we used to like doing that together, and did a little note and just, Happy New Year. So I came and I showed up at her place, and she had just moved in. It's where we live now. She just moved in maybe a few weeks before
Just a few
came.
weeks.
And I, pulled up to the valet, and I was like, hey, I'm only going to be here like an hour or so, because he asked, how long will you be here? I said, an hour or so. So they could park my car in the front. I stayed for 10 hours.
3 bottles of champagne, not one.
And 10 hours.
In 10 hours. Yes.
And that conversation, you all, we talked about everything that's happened. Like, we unpacked what happened, our feelings, what we thought about it. We shared everything that night. And we just had the most amazing reconnection. We line danced. No, we two-stepped outside on the patio because I like country music. So I made her, two-step with me. We just had a great time. And so after a 10-hour date, I left. And we didn't have no kiss, no nothing. It was just a hug because we were friends. We were not trying to just run back to being girlfriends. And I wouldn't have asked her again. I was like, guards up,
And it was really super important if we were going to reconnect on any level. So I was able to unpack with her that I was afraid. And it took me that 3 or 4 months to be able to process what I was feeling and why. Because, I'm telling you now what I felt, but I didn't know that then. And so we sat here for 10 hours and talked about, she said, why did you leave? We had this what happened? And I was able to, I had been able to process the fear, telling my mom and all of that. And it took me moving here and being here alone and thinking, I have everything. Everything. I have an amazing home. I have an amazing career. My kids are grown. They're fabulous. I got great friends, but I didn't have this. And Tracy's the only person that I knew I wanted here in this space with me at the beginning of my life, because that's what it felt like. That's what it felt like. The beginning of my life in my new home. It was almost a new year, and I said, I want her. But I didn't call her. I wouldn't have ever called her because, again, I didn't know what we could have, and she deserved everything. So I was like, I can't call because I don't know if I can offer that at this point. So, but she called and I answered. Yeah.
It's just a great friendship reconnection. And I was so glad I messaged her because if I had thought about it, I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
So I left that night and just really energized and excited. We messaged quite a bit. We talked, here and there. And so January hit and we wanted to see each other again. And so she was starting a cleanse, which she does off and on. And so you want to talk about that?
Yeah.
How we kind of really reconnected then?
Yeah, we were sitting at the bar where we fell in love. And here in the house. And I said, you know what? I'm about to start a 21-day cleanse. And I was telling her all about it because I always get so excited about these cleanses, right? And before I could even finish, she said, I want to do that with you. Now, that's all I needed.
Hello.
Like, I could have proposed then, because never, never in my life has anyone ever said, I want to do a cleanse with you. Never. Not my friend, not my family, no one. I said, you do? And she said, yeah, I do. And I said, okay. Now, my wife doesn't cook, and I do. So I said, well, I'll make the food, and you just come over. I'll pack your lunch. I started packing her lunch to take to work, and she'd come over at night after work, and we would sit and talk for
Hours.
3-4 hours.
Hours and hours.
Yeah, no alcohol, because that was part of the cleanse. So no alcohol was involved in making these decisions we're about to make that we don't know.
Which was the best part, you guys.
Yes.
Because when you're not drinking and you're sober, you have a clear mind, clear conscience. You can really see if there's connection. All those things that alcohol can kind of skew if you're not careful.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, they can kind of multiply things in ways that
That's true.
may not be real. But so she starts coming over, and 3 hours, 4 hours a night. And then on the weekends, she'd spend like the day. And so about day 18, she had been very guarded, as she should have been, because, she was afraid perhaps that I would, do the same thing again, right? And so she kept telling me over and over and over again, we're just friends and I'm okay with that. We're just friends and I'm okay with that. I love the fact that we're such good friends. Friends, friends, friends. To the point, I was tired of hearing it. And so I looked at her across the bar and I said, you know what? You've been saying friends, friends, friends for so long, and I'm not buying that. I think we need to unpack that right here and right now. And Dr. T looked at me like,
And I just, y'all, I couldn't even stop myself from saying it. I said, I have always been in love with you.
I said, my friends don't look at me the way you look at me. And I don't look at my friends the way I'm looking at you. So I don't think that's true. I think we've always been more than friends. And that's when she cried. And she said, I've always been in love with you. And she was crying. Like it was like finally.
A release.
It was a release. Because we had all these feelings, but we didn't know what they were. And
for almost a year at that point.
For almost a
because
year
we met
at
in
that
February
point.
and that was January. So it was like,
Yeah. So I told her I've always been in love with you too.